Everyone wants to change their identity nowadays, but the big kicker is really understanding the whole entire recipe, the big picture, everything that goes on. And a lot of people are trying to change their identity in ways that keep the same patterns running. And I am Mario Leone. Welcome to the Voices of Victory channel. And today's topic is where people go wrong trying to change their identity. Don't forget to click the link below to visit Patreon so we could actually grow together. Now, a lot of people are trying to change their identity, and they're trying to do it all different ways, and they're trying to keep the same patterns actually going. They keep trying to think differently or take confidence and shove it into a certain part of their life, or stay motivated, or convince themselves that they've actually have changed. But identity changes through repeated experience. Who you are changes through repeated experience. It is experiences, not necessarily beliefs. Experiences provide you with new beliefs. That's the beauty of it. So when we live experientially, what this does is it creates a dynamic impact on the identity itself. That is crucial. So your system and your brain changes from what keeps happening over and over and over again. It doesn't happen from one piece of enlightenment, one piece of wisdom. It doesn't happen from that one thing. It could set off a chain reaction, that one thing, but it happens from ongoing repetitive action. So where people go wrong in the beginning is they're thinking too much about the actual change. So they stay right where they are, and they're trying to understand themselves forever, but they put it in a logic box, not really understanding the emotional part of who we are or the action part of who we are and what action does for us and for our actual identity. So they overanalyze, they'll watch endless self-help YouTubes that are out there, and what they will do is constantly reflect. And reflection is good because it's part of that contemplation. When you start to contemplate certain ideas, you can move in different directions. But if you're staying in your head all the time and you're looking at identity change as strictly a logical thing, then we start to miss the boat with the whole entire process. Awareness is helpful because awareness will help you recognize your patterns and allow you to pivot in a different direction. But awareness alone doesn't really change the whole entire sequence of things. To become a systems thinker is pretty valuable because when you start to do some sort of system and the system is giving you evidence, that'll be because of action was a part of it. So when action occurs, evidence shows up right after. So the good news is your nervous system changes when you start living experientially and repeating that over and over and over again. But we're not doing that. We live in a society where we're getting bombarded with information. Our minds are filled with so much info that we get confused. And maybe we don't have any self-trust. We don't trust ourselves. But we don't realize that action will actually move us towards identity because there's evidence that shows up and that actually reinforces you. So when we understand the pattern, that's helpful. But we have to repeat the new experiences. And that is what actually changes the pattern. A lot of people are waiting to feel ready. That's another problem. That's where people go wrong. A lot of people wait. Oh, I have to feel confident. I have to feel calm. I have to feel certain, feel fearless. All of those aren't nearly as important as feeling safe. Feeling safe is part of your nervous system because you will do only what your nervous system will allow. But the only way to learn how to do more is to take some actions, even in the smallest possible way, so you can grow that organically. So people feel, oh, I have to be certain before I change my behavior. But your brain doesn't learn that way. It learns safety after the experience happens. So how are we going to take a chance doing something when we're afraid? Well, very simple. We could take a look at the action that's there. If the action is giving us a lot of anxiety, we need to scale it down. And if it's fear number 10, we need to bring it down to about a 4 or a 3. Something that's palatable. That's important because then your nervous system is also going to learn. Your nervous system is going to understand what safety is. Action has to happen, but you could do it at a safety level. That's what I want you to understand, is that If you're afraid of taking the action, which is normal, you need to reduce that down to where it's emotionally comfortable to you. You need to find that sweet spot. You're not coming outside of your comfort zone, you're coming to the edge. So, for example, if someone wants to speak more naturally in a social environment, but they keep waiting to feel, oh, I have to be confident enough, I'll be confident on Friday. That confidence usually comes after they have a safe experience, not before. So if you have to speak publicly on Friday and you're a nervous wreck about it, then taking the action of rehearsing your speech. Write your speech down, rehearse it, and practice it out loud in front of a few people. Do a dry run with a group of people ahead of time before you speak. Because what that will do is provide you with that safe experience, which gives you evidence, which improves your confidence. So when you speak publicly, you'll be able to do it no problem because you've already have done it before and your brain makes a mental note of that. Now, a lot of people will make the change too big, and that's what I've said, is that you have to be able to scale it down, because scaling it down, there's less emotional resistance. So where people go wrong with this is they make that change so big, so huge, they create a huge amount of pressure on themselves. I need to fully reinvent myself all the way. I need to stop overthinking completely. I need to become a different person tomorrow. All this does is provide you with tons of stress and more overwhelm. Your nervous system will only allow up to a point. So your nervous system will respond better when you do smaller, tinier, repeated changes. When you do that, your brain says, okay, it's safe, keep going. And you'll get that message from your body. Of course, you have to breathe through it. You have to be able to use full lung capacity breath when you're nervous. But the tiny, tiny shifts, when we do them over and over again, and we do them consistently, that actually matters much more than some kind of dramatic change. Now, another one is people want to stay in the same behaviors. That's a big one. It's like this old, comfortable sneaker. The sneaker's totally destroyed, but people will wear it anyway. So they stay in the same behavior because it's comfortable. And that's where people go wrong. This is one of the biggest ones. People want the change, they talk the change, but when they actually come down to going to the gym, they can't do it. They want change while still repeating their old habits, repeating their old ways. So they over-explain. They're checking constantly in on things. They're rehearsing these old conversations, people-pleasing, trying to control everything, micromanaging their life, perfectionism, constantly mentally monitoring every bit of what they're saying and how they look in front of other people. So those are behaviors that teach you to keep your nervous system right where it is. So if you keep repeating them, you're just telling your brain, stay put. So your nervous system just learns from the actions that you repeat over and over and over again, not the intention. The intention is a little bit of gasoline behind the action, but action has to happen. So when we start to look at being uncomfortable, that's another one. People treat discomfort like there's something wrong. And that's why people say, oh, I have anxiety. Great, awesome. What are you doing about it? Because there's a million people out there that have it out now, right? What are you doing about it? What actions are you taking, right? What are you doing? So treating discomfort like there's something wrong, when we treat anxiety as a reason to not do something, as opposed to something that you should work through, and that's what happens is people will use that as a shield. And that shield will become so strong that they won't take any action at all. Why? Because I have anxiety. What does that do? All it does is reinforce that in your nervous system. It's not a matter of anxiety being bad or good, or right or wrong. It matters how we actually work through it. So where people go wrong is their discomfort happens, and they assume this isn't working. But that uncomfortable feeling, it will happen. It will happen when your nervous system is literally adjusting to something that's unfamiliar. So it's going to happen. It's about emotional resilience. So it's not about the anxiety. If you have anxiety, any kind, it's all about that emotional resilience that you build. And you can build it in a safe pathway, in a safe routine. Your routines can have a little bit of emotion baked into it and allow you to move forward. That's what it's all about. So when people are feeling that uncomfortable feeling, they might stop over explaining. And that silence, in a conversation, maybe being quiet for a minute or two doesn't make them feel comfortable, but they need to keep going. But that discomfort doesn't mean that the new behavior is bad. Just because your nervous system is giving you little messages going on, it doesn't mean that pausing and having patience is a bad thing. It means that you're getting used to a different experience and it's outside of your comfort zone or at the edge. And that's my point. You want to come to the edge. You don't have to come out so far unless you feel like you're capable of doing so. So when you have a new behavior, and a new behavior is totally unfamiliar. It is unfamiliar. When it becomes natural, that's the beauty of it. That's the absolute beauty of it. Because that's where you yourself are doing it as a practice. And don't seek results. Let the results become the practice. Let the results become the practice, but do that through action. Very important. And if you practice until the effort disappears, then that anxiety will go away. That's important. Another thing that really messes people up is they expect the change to happen real fast. That's why everybody's looking for the silver bullet. Everybody searches YouTube and all these self-help podcasts out there because they want the silver bullet. I need that one thing that's just going to kill everything off and it's going to change my entire life. People want that. They don't realize that there's a little bit of work involved. It doesn't have to be massive work. You can actually govern that work. You can control that work. So where people go wrong is they expect the change to happen like overnight. Instant confidence, add water. Instant calm, instant emotional freedom. But your identity actually starts to build up through the patterns you repeat. That's what happens. So your brain starts to make changes and updates slowly through living experientially, having an actual experience. So when we look at the actual change that's going to go down, it can happen in a very gentle way because it doesn't have to be drastic. A lot of people think that change has to be drastic. It doesn't. But when you actually start small and you work your way, you don't get a lot of overthinking because it becomes manageable. If you are overthinking, you need to start taking a look at the smallest possible thing that you can do. Then one day you start to realize, oh wow, I'm different now. Like I've been doing this for a few weeks now and this is no longer a big deal. Another thing they try to do is they try to step into their alter ego or some kind of new identity. People do that. They say, okay, I'm going to act like a different version of who I am to become something else. But underneath all that, your pattern of survival is just still going on in the background. It's still happening. Nothing has changed. You might become a new avatar, a new person that you want to become, but your nervous system is still the same. So the new you, the new avatar, the new self-concept of who you are, it's still not lining up. Because the real change is not about acting like somebody else, even temporarily. But it is when the behavior, the actions you take, they start feeling totally relaxed and normal. There's no need to force anymore. That's what happens. That's the beauty of it when it starts happening over and over again. It's not an occasional thing, it's all the time. Now, a lot of people forget how the brain and the nervous system actually learns. Because the nervous system learns from repetition. And it needs to feel safe doing things. And if it doesn't, it'll backslide quickly, real fast for some people. Want a new diet? Oh, I don't know. I can't eat that, and it becomes a big deal emotionally. So stress, fear, rushing, trying to rush and get results too quick. That's another one. Control, overthinking. It's all connected right into the nervous system. So that keeps your old patterns completely going. But when you actually repeat the new behaviors, the new actions, you start slowing down, you start becoming grounded in your body, grounded in yourself. You're able to deal and tolerate with uncertainty. You're able to allow imperfection. And you start to understand that you can move through discomfort without feeling like you're going to die. So you create new patterns. So in closing, and we're going to stop right here, is your identity will completely be molded when your nervous system starts to experience things differently. And if you do it enough times, that's when you start getting different results, different outcomes. So when you get different outcomes, the beauty is your whole identity starts to be rewired in a beautiful way. That's why when you start to mold yourself in a different direction, it looks so small in the beginning. And people say, well, what's that going to do? That's too small. Yeah, it's called consistency. Welcome to the world of reality where your nervous system will only allow you certain things. So we have to look at having those actions without all of the frustration, without all of the urgency, the control, and being present in yourself and have a little bit more of an easier time. So when you do that, eventually your brain, your nervous system starts looking at those wonderful experiences. When you live experientially, you're going to get tangible results, tangible evidence, and that evidence is going to support your identity. And that is how your identity can be upgraded. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and most of all, please do click the link below so you can visit the Patreon and we can grow together. And I am bringing guests on the show. So if you want to come on the show, we can. We'll keep it real. You can email me to the Podbean link and let's see if we're an actual fit that we can actually have a conversation on the show. Take care. Have a good one.